This is the Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
For the first time in 18 years, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have started their season 6-2. Monday Night Football, they come out victorious and improve their record to 6-2. They outlast the New York Giants 25-23. And as of right now, they have their sights set on Sunday Night Football against the New Orleans Saints in the biggest game of the season. While they did win on Monday night, happy Victory Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Did they deserve to win this game? We're going to talk about that all here shortly, but with that being said, welcome back to the Cannon Fire Podcast today for episode 142. I'm your host, as always, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, my good buddy and co-host, the Philly Bucks fan himself, Mr. Evan Wanish. Happy Victory Tuesday, man.
I know it's celebratory time right now, but are they always just gonna suck on prime time? Like, is that gonna be a thing, like, forever, or what? Because even though they won, it still sucked. Like it sucked. Last year they beat Carolina on Thursday Night Football. It came down to the wire. It sucked. Like, even their wins on prime time suck.
It seems like normally when we see the Buccaneers in games like this that suck, they're always on the losing end. The last time they played a game like this, obviously, was Chicago on Thursday Night Football. So like you said, I don't know if it's prime time. I don't know if it's playing at night. I don't know what it is. But if kickoff is after 4 p.m. and it's not Sunday, then you can guarantee the Buccaneers not looking up to snuff. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's just remind everybody, big, deep breath. They did
6-2.
The 6-2. They won. We're going to talk about all the ugly stuff from the game, but I do need to say this. It feels like one of those shows where we're going to have more bad to say than good, and I also want to get out in front of this. Listen, to the people who feel like anybody criticizing this team, or at least taking a fair, objective look at this football team, I don't know why all of a sudden everybody's complaining, you know? Like, oh, you're just bitching. They're 6-2. They're doing great right now. Like, yeah, sure, they're 6-2. Fantastic. I am through the roof. But it was a bad football game. And it was a game, like I said before, that I'm not so sure they deserve to win. I hate to say it like that, but it doesn't seem like there's any other way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I almost look at it as the Giants lost it more than the Bucs won it. Like,
oh, definitely.
Daniel
Jones by himself.
He's bad. I mean, if the Giants get a chance to draft like one of the top 3 quarterbacks this year, I think they really need to consider it. Obviously, if they had a shot at Lawrence, I think it's a slam dunk. But I don't think anybody's beating the Jets out for that spot. So, I think it's good to get a win. And this is, I believe Mike Evans said this, that in the past they definitely lose this game, and this time they won it. I mean, we all know what happens in the past. The Giants get the 2-point conversion, and then it ends up going to overtime. Bucs offense gets it first. You get hope. Bucs offense stalls, and Giants kick the game-winning field goal. That's how that game ends 9 times out of 10 with the Bucs, right? Or Ryan Suckup misses that field goal, Daniel Jones goes down, and they score the game-winning touchdown. That's how it always seemed to go, right? This time was a little bit different, and that's how you could see the signs of a different team. You say finding different ways to win, and this is a different way to win. It's winning ugly. You won pretty against Green Bay. You won pretty against Las Vegas, but now you just won ugly. So you're learning new ways. You couldn't get it done in Chicago. You didn't know how to win ugly in Chicago. Now you learned how to win ugly in New York. So I definitely think it's a step for them in the right direction. I think this is a needed game. I think this is sort of a wake-up call, and especially this stretch coming up. I mean, their next 4 games are the New Orleans Saints, who are a playoff team, the Carolina Panthers, who aren't, I don't think they're a playoff team, but they're not a slouch, then the LA Rams, playoff team, and the Kansas City Chiefs, arguably the best team in football and the defending Super Bowl champions. That's a huge stretch, and I think this is good for that wake-up call to really happen. And you're 6-2 at the time. You were 5-2 heading into the game, but you're nothing right now. Any team can beat anybody, and I know I got some criticism for when I predicted that this game would be close, and I said it would be close, and people were like, "No, they blew out the Packers and the Raiders. Can't you imagine what they're going to do to the Giants?" Look, these are paid professionals. These guys are getting paid on the other side. Yeah, they're not. You're not going to blow every team out. Like I'm sorry, you're not. You're not going to beat every team by double digits. I did predict a double-digit win, but it was 28-17. It's not like I was predicting 35-7. You're not going to blow every team out, and I think the Bucs realized that. Last night, they definitely escaped New York with a win, but it was, I think, a much-needed one because it taught them how to win in another different way.
Yeah, a win is a win. Is a win, and regardless of
it's not going to have an asterisk in the stat column.
Yes, regardless
of
what,
it's not like six asterisk 2. No, it's 6-2.
6-2, and for another week in a row, the Buccaneers are first place in the NFC South. So, folks, don't get it twisted. Bucs won. We are very happy, but of course, the podcast that we are, we're going to give you a fair look. A fair criticism of course, what the Red and Pewter Buccaneers showed us on Monday night. But Evan, really quickly, man, I know we're in a good mood. But listen, you're my buddy, you're my pal, but after your behavior last night, I have no choice but to suspend you for the next episode of the podcast. I know. Listen, you can get defensive, but let me just pull up the receipts here. Let me get my reading glasses on. So there was a period of time that I did not talk to you last night, and normally we text each other back and forth for most of the game, and I get it. I was mad. You were mad as well, and we were both venting, right? So here's what it is. 8:40 kickoff was at 8:15? Said feels eerily similar to the Chicago game so far.
Which it did.
Refs not being great on either side, which they weren't. Critical fumble on Ronald Jones, which we'll talk about in a little bit, etc. And yeah, you're right. It was a sucky game just like Chicago. And I said, yeah, we'll see. Still 3 quarters left. You said, you can keep being optimistic, but just watch. Daniel Jones lives rent-free in their heads right now. They have no answer for this offense. Going to be a really fun show. Cannot believe that Daniel Jones is going to have 5 career wins and 2 of them are against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
And I wasn't responding.
Yep, not to none of them.
Oh, man. And, we finally talked about it. This team came around and, they played some inspired football in the fourth quarter, which was a welcome sight after the first 3 quarters of that game. But,
yeah,
I'm just busting your chops. But, yeah, we got to kick you off the next show.
After speaking with my agent, we are not going to appeal the suspension. We're going to serve the suspension, and we're not going to appeal it. Don't want to drag it out anymore. Just get it past us. It's in the past. Not proud of it the way it turned out, but we're hoping that we can get back into business soon.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, man. Speaking of getting back into business, since you're not going to be doing a show this Thursday, you're going to have plenty of time to head on over and check out our friends at betonline.ag. From game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props, BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any other place online. And of course, there is always the online casino, which never closes. So head over to betonline.ag today and take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses that they have got going on. Once again, BetOnline, your online sportsbook expert. I'm sure the people who have listened to the show really appreciated the free money we threw their way regarding the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Jets game, right?
KC, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Trying to tell you.
There you go.
Trying to tell you this week I'm keeping an eye on. The line isn't out yet, but I keep an eye on the Pittsburgh. Keep an eye on the Pittsburgh line. They're going to start Cooper Rush, the Cowboys are, against that Steelers defense. The Steelers offense is in rhythm. Cowboys defense is awful. Keep it. Not sure what the line's going to be. It's going to be high, but I keep an eye on it.
Every Steelers fan I know is like, this is the game that we lose. Like this, we're 7-0 for the first time in 40 years, and they're gonna lose to the Cowboys, who are on their 5th-string quarterback. Dude, by the way, rough couple of weeks for Andy Dalton. Am I right? Guy got put on the COVID list today.
Man, got a concussion, COVID. Yeah, he's got everything. and the dude who hits him doesn't even get suspended. And I get suspended for text, and he doesn't get suspended for that dirty hit. Like, what is going on here? That's how you know the league is messed up.
There you go.
Yeah, so rough week for the Red Rifle. But how about we talk about the Red and Pewter football Pirates?
Let's do it. So we got some stat lines. Of course, we're going to get into this game a little bit. First things first, TB12, 28 for 40 passing, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. The box score looks like a pretty good day for Brady. And I'm not going to say that it was a bad day for Brady, but I'll tell you what, man, that first half was... I don't want to say the worst we've seen him look in a Bucs uniform, but he was throwing some ducks, and it was concerning for a little bit.
That was the worst I've seen him look in a Bucs uniform. First half he sucked. He was missing just guys that he just normally doesn't. It even seemed like some of the routes that were caught were some tough catches. A lot of stuff. It seemed like he was forcing the ball a little bit. I understand that they're without Chris Godwin, and when they're without Chris Godwin, it's a completely different offense. But man, he was just off. It's not like these guys he was forcing some, but also he was just missing wide open guys. I know the snaps were off. The one snap was off, but he missed Mike Evans. Could have held it for probably another second or so and would have hit Mike Evans. He missed Jadon Mickens, who, a lot of people think that Mickens could have kept running, and perhaps he could have, but he missed him. I believe he missed Leonard Fournette high in the flat. It was a rough first half for Brady. Not a lot of guys getting open, and he really picked it up in the second half, though. Kudos to him. Big reason why they won. I think, no turnovers again. This guy hasn't thrown an interception since week 4. And I don't know if the Buccaneers have gone this stretch without an interception since I don't even know when. Probably maybe like 2012 or something like that. Probably close maybe. Have gone this long without an interception. It's a great stretch for him right now. And he really reeled it in the second half and got Mike Evans involved so people can stop talking about that. And we had some conversations about that last night. Especially after he caught that touchdown, I was a little animated about things. But I think that he played well, and he didn't play great. The first half was just bad. That can't happen against a really good team. You can't come out that slow. They didn't score a touchdown in the first half for the first time all season. Big reason why was Brady's struggles, and just something clicked in the second half. They started using play action a lot. Wanted to put a stat that actually ESPN had put up, and I was actually going to look at it. So I'm glad that they just put it up. The Bucs on play action last night were 10 of 11 for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's the play action stats.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah, but they're only running 11 times. Like, Brady threw the ball 40 times, and they're running 11 times. Like, you got to be running that, 20 times, 21, 22. And I understand if you say, well, if you run it a lot, that's not going to work as much. Sure. But if you're having this much success at it, you got to do it. I believe the one miss he had on play action was when he tried to hit Mike Evans deep and he underthrew the ball a little bit. That was his one miss on play action. Other than that, completely perfect. And I think it's something that they got to utilize more.
Yeah, and we've said it here on the show. It doesn't really matter. I think a lot of people have said this, not even just us, but it doesn't matter if the run game is working. Use play action.
Yeah.
They're still going to buy it on play action every now and again. And, of course, with stats like that,
and also
even more reason.
I wanted to bring up Brady's pocket awareness last night. I thought it was excellent. I don't think people are kind of not talking about him being good last night because maybe it's just the first half, maybe it's just how the game ended. But I think he was good, and his pocket awareness was very good. I thought he kept his head on a swivel, knew where guys were. Created time when he needed to. Obviously, he's not going to beat you with his legs, but he extended plays when he needed to, got some good conversions. Credit to a lot of the receivers for getting open when he was able to extend the play. So I thought his pocket awareness was very good Monday night.
Yeah, and the Giants got to him twice, so that
Both
streak.
were coverage sacks, though.
Yeah,
you know, and that was frustrating for me. Like, how are these guys not getting open? Besides James Bradbury, the Giants' secondary is not great, and I understand that they were missing Chris Godwin, but still, like, how are they just not getting open? It didn't make sense to me, but that was the first half, and I mean, obviously, I think the Giants got a sack in the second half, but you could tell it was a different offense first half to second half.
Absolutely. Another guy on that offense that played a big role, we mentioned him a little bit earlier, but Mike Evans, big number 13, 5 receptions, 55 yards, and 1 touchdown on the evening for Big Mike. No, he didn't get 100-plus yards, and I will say that, you know, aside from the 55 yards and touchdown that we saw, Bradbury played a pretty good game against him for the most part. They did double the hell out of him again, but Mike Evans getting involved, he got himself a touchdown. That's all that matters, and it was a pretty damn critical touchdown at that. So, what did you think of Mike Evans?
Well, it was the game-winning score, it turned out to be. So, yeah, this was kind of the game I expected him to have. I projected him to have a touchdown. I thought he was going to get like 4 catches for around like 45 yards and a touchdown. I thought that was pretty fair. Bradbury just is a good corner, and he's playing elite football. Obviously, Evans got the better of him at some points last night, but Bradbury was still pretty good. So I thought Mike played well. I thought there was a few times where he caught the ball, and it seemed like he thought he was going to get hit like right away. And so he sort of, went into like the turtle shell when he could have maybe got some more yak. But I mean, that's a little nitpicking. What a catch in the end zone on that fade. Wasn't the best thrown ball, but it was good enough. And you just let that guy Mike Evans, you just let him go make a play. So yeah, I thought he played well. I think it's something to build on, and obviously next week, if they have Chris Godwin and obviously having Antonio Brown, I think it's gonna just help him. I think he'll definitely see more targets coming his way. It'll be interesting to see because the Saints are the team that has really, besides that week 1 in 2018, he's really struggled against the Saints. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday night.
Absolutely. Now, you brought up the Giants' secondary, and yes, they aren't that great. Bradbury had a great game, but I will say this, from what I saw on Monday night, dude, they were on it. Like, all night long.
The whole team played a really solid game.
That's the thing, is it really wasn't even just the corners. It was whoever was covering the targeted receiver. You saw so many times the Giants defender just make a play on the football. Jabril Peppers did it that one time, and I don't even think he meant to. But it's like, it just seemed like we saw so many more deflections, really getting a hand in the face of the receiver and breaking up that play, and I think that can just be attributed to great coaching at the end of the day. Those guys, they knew what they had to do, and they performed pretty well for the most part.
I mean, to me, if I'm a Giants player, I'm like, man, like, how do you not come away with a W? Because there wasn't many Giants. Like, I mean, obviously the most important Giant was the one that I think had a bad game. It was Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I don't know if you can pick out somebody and say, oh, he had a bad game. They played a darn good football game. And yeah, that is a sign of being well coached. And we warned people that they've only gotten blown out once. It was against the 49ers. That was it. They have only gotten blown out once. They've been in every game. They allowed 17 points to the Rams, but they only scored 9. They have been in every football game. They lost to Philly by 1. They should have beat them. If Evan Ingram catches the ball, they do, which is funny because Evan Ingram caught basically the same route. He had a great catch against the Bucs, and I was like, wow. So you drop it against the Eagles, and then you catch the ball against the Bucs. Great. Just their luck.
That's how it goes most of the time.
Of course, yeah. As soon as he caught that, that's what I was thinking. I was like, so you drop it that week, but then this week you're just going to make... And it was a poorer throw, too. Daniel Jones put on the money in Philly. Daniel Jones put a little bit too far this one, and he still makes the catch. I'm like, okay. But yeah, they played a darn good football game, and if I'm a Giants player, I'm like, man, like we just played our hearts out against a team that is more talented than we are, and he still just didn't come away with a W. So, they're probably the last thing we'll say, crediting them a whole lot. But I mean, credit to them. They're a hard fighting team, and they at 1-6 they could have easily laid down, and they certainly didn't.
Absolutely. They came ready to play. The next stat line that we've got off of that offense is a refreshing one. 4 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown for number 87, Rob Gronkowski. I hated that Gronkzilla garbage that they showed before the game. That was the reason that they were losing. I don't know if you watched the
I did not.
Monday Night Football countdown. But
I did not.
Oh my God! It was Goatzilla and Gronkzilla, and they were
Really?
framing it like this old scary Godzilla movie, and it was just so corny. But Gronkzilla kind of showed up again. Like I said, 4 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown. A very critical touchdown, and it was funny because I really didn't feel like we saw too much of Gronk until the third quarter. And
yeah, you really did.
Once we started to see him get involved, the Buccaneers got their first actual touchdown of the game, and they were back in it. So it's one of those things where, like, I don't know. What was up with Gronk in that first half? I know it wasn't really a Gronk thing, but it didn't seem like they had much interest in getting him involved.
I don't know if he's 100% healthy. Because I know he's been showing up on the injury report a little bit. So I think that might have been, they might have been playing a little safe. I mean, he had a catch in the first half, I think, but yeah, he really came on in the second half. Also, that's definitely a touchdown. He took 3 steps with the football. So yeah, that's definitely a touchdown there. But yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like he was fine in the first half. I felt like they were using him for more blocking. I felt like they just threw the ball more in the second half. So, like, he was just running more routes. It's just natural. So it's funny. To me.
Sorry, go
ahead. No, go ahead.
It just seemed like there were so many times in the first half, especially, where I'm looking at the field and I didn't even see him for an entire drive. Like, he wasn't even in the formation. They weren't using a lot of tight end heavy, not that they normally do, but they weren't using a lot of tight end heavy formations in the first half. And it just, I don't know. I don't know. It was just a little weird and really put this offense off rhythm a little faster than I expected them to be.
It's funny how you're seeing that. When now that Gronkowski is back, you're seeing this offense be better. It's almost like this offense relies on Gronkowski being good. This offense relies on Gronkowski, Godwin, Evans, them all working together, right? And if Gronkowski's shut down for the rest of that game, I don't know if the Bucs win that game, because I mean he caught a critical first down conversion. Like you said, he caught that touchdown. He played a solid football game. So, I think he's a little banged up. We'll see if he shows up on the injury report at all, but hopefully not. But I think that might be the case, and that might have been why they sort of took him out, put Dan Hudson in a little bit. I think Cameron Brate might have played the most he's played all year. Had 2 catches. So. Yeah, I don't think it's anything serious, but he might be a tad banged up.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But, the other guy that you mentioned, Chris Godwin, this offense without Chris Godwin on the field is already handicapped. Like, even if you've got everybody else healthy, it really just seems like this offense is so easy for opposing defenses to neutralize when you don't have number 14 on the field. And it's incredible to me.
Well, that's why you just got number 81.
Yeah.
That's why. That is the reason why. If Chris Godwin is 100% healthy for this whole season, I don't believe the Buccaneers sign Antonio Brown. But I think they realize that it's a very real possibility. Or even if the Chicago games goes well and the Bucs put up 35 points and win, I don't know if they sign Antonio Brown, because that can show that, hey, the offense is pretty good still without Godwin. What that showed was like, man, like if Evans is banged up even a little bit, without Chris Godwin, this offense sucks. This offense, because they're not a running football team, so they can't rely on that. And then so you have to pass it, and then they just don't have enough. So I think that is what I think. The value that Antonio Brown brings, and I think that's ultimately why they ended up signing him. So hopefully, Antonio Brown stays healthy, Mike Evans stays healthy, and Chris Godwin can get back this week. But I think you're seeing now a firm reason as to why they signed this guy.
Oh yeah, it is less about the plethora of riches that the Bucs have on offense. Well, without one of those factors, which is Chris Godwin, just like you said, this offense plain sucks. So from a football standpoint, Antonio Brown coming in is the best possible move they could have made. And again, even more reason why they went out and made that. Speaking of AB, Bucs officially activated wide receiver Antonio Brown from the reserve/suspended list. So Wednesday's practice is a walkthrough. We'll get a bit better of an idea of his role in the offense this coming Sunday after that practice. But he's back, man, officially.
Yeah, he's gonna be practicing with the team on Wednesday, and then I would assume he's available for media either Wednesday or Thursday. I don't think it's been official yet, but then he's gonna play. Bruce Arians has said he could play 10 snaps, he could play 35 snaps. So I think Adam Schefter, I heard him, he said normally, when you say that, it's closer to 30 than it is 10. So I do think he's gonna see a good bit of the field. I don't know the impact he's going to make because, and I want to put this out there just because obviously just got informed I'm suspended, so I won't be able to put this point on the game preview, but Antonio Brown hasn't played football in over a year. So just like Gronkowski, let's not expect this guy to have over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, can you not expect just Antonio Brown to be plugged into this offense and boom, we're rolling? Like, I don't think it's going to happen that way. Gronkowski, like they said, you could say, oh, well, Antonio Brown was in great shape. Gronkowski's in great shape too, best shape of his life. It took him a little bit. I think it's going to take Brown a game or two to get going. I really do. And he'll make an impact, but I don't think it's going to be this huge impact that some people are thinking. But
I think his
I'll be interested to see what's going to happen.
I think his potential impact is dependent upon one man and one man only, and it's the guy that we just spent a good bit of time talking about, Chris Godwin. As of right now, he's kind of week to week. Last I heard, he's got a 50-50 shot to play against the Saints this Sunday night. If he is not on the field, then I think Antonio Brown has that big breakout game. I don't know if he gets 100-plus yards, but look at it this way. If Mike Evans is still being neutralized and taken out of the game, which the Saints typically do a pretty good job of doing, if Antonio Brown is the open man, Brady's going to throw it to him. That's what it's going to boil down to. And, just like we said, without Chris Godwin on the field, this offense is entirely awful. And
you want to know how big this Saints game coming up is?
It decides. To be honest with you, if the Bucs win this Sunday night, I think it might just put a cap on the NFC South.
Yeah, I think whoever wins this football game will win the NFC South. But the reason I'm saying this, you know how big this is? Two things I want to point out here. One, it's so big because we are sitting here supposed to be talking about a game review, and all of a sudden we're start talking about matchups for the Saints game. And two, I think it's pretty clear the Buccaneers look past this Giants team, and we're looking at the Saints just like we are right now.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear early on that they were like, okay, we'll come in here, get a win by 10 points, 14 points, whatever, then move on. Not going to happen. So it's good that they got a win, but I can... just that Saints game, I mean, I want to put this out here just because I'm not going to be on the game preview. Is this like one like the biggest Bucs game in like the last 10 years? Like,
it really does feel like it.
I think
it is.
I mean, this is much bigger than the Kansas City game. Much bigger.
Yeah. Well, at that point in the season, win or loss of this game, it just, there's so much more weight on this game. Not only is it a division game, but like we just talked about, it could potentially wrap up the NFC South. The Buccaneers get a win ahead of New Orleans. Well, they kind of already are. 6-2, 5-2. You separate that by another game. The rest is history. But yeah, this is what feels like the heaviest Bucs game in a very long time. Definitely the biggest Bucs game since we've started doing the show. They have the most at stake. And to say that in November is definitely something that we're still getting used to.
Yeah, normally you're saying week 2 because they're trying to avoid going 0-2. This is huge. They can't do this.
Oh, man. So let's go ahead and wrap up these stat lines. I got a couple of unsung heroes from the game Monday night. First up, Jadon Mickens, 5 receptions and 36 yards. Did he have a earth-shattering game? No, absolutely not. But the 5 receptions that he had were critical. I mean critical. What about this game from Jadon Mickens?
Well, one of them was a 4th down conversion. I mean, he caught on the opening drive, he caught one for a 1st down. Then he caught one to convert a 4th down. And then I think he caught another one to get on third. It was like 3rd and 4. He caught one. I mean, yeah. Without I tweeted it out. Without Jadon Mickens, they don't win this football game. I really don't think they do. They needed him to step up, and he did just that. And I saw some people on Twitter that were like making fun of him and stuff, and keep wanting to make fun of him. Like, why? Like, the dude played well. Give him props. Like, what does it matter?
Too.
What is it? Yeah, he did. Well, he's been getting better at returns, and nobody talks about it. What does it matter if it's a no-name receiver stepping up? Why do you have to make fun of that? Like, he's stepping up. Like, who cares? If he's stepping up making plays, who cares what his name is? I don't care. If Surreal Grayson went out there and caught 6 balls for, 60 yards, you'd be like, all right. You can't, like, you can't say, oh, yeah, Surreal Grayson. No, who cares? He's stepping up for you. And that's what you need sometimes. On an off night like that, you need an unsung hero, like he said. And he was exactly that on Monday night. He was, like I said, he was a big factor in that game.
Now, the next biggest factor in this game, and to be honest with you, my MVP, Ryan Suckup. I was trying to think of a nickname and I couldn't do it, but Ryan does not suck. Suckup does it again. 4 for 4, 13 total points, and his longest field goal of the night was 43 yards. Single-leggedly kept us in that game.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to officially announce that we have suspended, not only me for the week.
Oh my God.
But we have suspended the Make Your Kicks checkpoint on the checklist for the rest of the season.
Oh man, this is a new era for the show. The biggest announcement all season. This is just a huge announcement show. That's all it is.
You will not hear Make Your Kicks on a checklist from me or from Rhett for the rest of the 2020 season.
So, like,
you won't. Even if you feel like he actually does need it, don't say it.
Okay. All right.
He's earned it. He has earned it. He has earned the trust that even if he misses 1 or 2 in a game, and the next week you're looking at the game, nope. He's been that good in that clutch. This is exactly why they signed him and brought, like Matt Gay. That was his weakness. That area was his weakness. The 35 to 45 range. That's where he was the most weak. He had a heck of a leg, but he was just too inconsistent from there. And yeah, they don't win without Ryan Suckup. 4 for 4, and that win was weird, man. Some of those kicks, I was like, yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
But
he put the hook on one of them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not as much as the hook on the one, the 50-yarder at Green Bay, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, that game was in Tampa, but yeah, it definitely. I think for this season at least, I think they found their guy. So, Ryan Suckup, congratulations! I know this is a big accomplishment for you. I know you're going to be stoked to hear this news when you listen to this show, because I know you're a longtime listener. Yeah, so you have earned it. So you will not hear Make Your Kicks on the checklist anymore.
Bucs fans everywhere, dare I say it, we have ourselves a kicker. Big exhale. Everybody's feeling great. Before we talk about the rest of this game, I just want to remind everybody that it's November. November, the 11th month of the year. You know what else is in November? Thanksgiving. You know what the day after Thanksgiving is? Black Friday. What does that mean? It basically means that the holidays are already here. And if you haven't gotten on your online shopping, you are behind. But no need to worry, because our friends over at the Seattle Shirt Company have got you covered. Jay and the team have an unbelievable selection of NFL and NBA jerseys for everyone on your list this season. These jerseys are 100% authentic, from current superstars like LeBron to all-time legends like Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Walter Payton. Seattle Shirt Company has it all. By the way, I was checking out their website. They've got themselves a beautiful Warren Sapp creamsicle jersey, just like the one that you see hanging behind me over on our YouTube channel. And for right now, if you want to get your hands on that creamsicle jersey, for our listeners, we have a special one-time only pre-Black Friday Cyber Monday deal. Everything over at seattleshirt.com is 30% off. So head over to seattleshirt.com, enter the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, at checkout for for 30% off of your entire order. And of course, shipping is always free. Once again, our friends over at Seattle Shirt Company, 30% off of your order with promo code BLEAV, seattleshirt.com. Make sure you go check it out. So we've got some other things that we need to talk about in this game.
I think we're ignoring one elephant in the room. I'm not sure if that's next or not, but go ahead.
I'm very curious what it is, actually. I might have it. But the next thing that I wanted to kind of take a look at this defense because we've talked a lot about the offense. But what's the elephant in the room? Throw it out there because now I'm genuinely curious.
Well, I mean, can we just take a moment, like before we get into the complete defense, can we talk about the 2-point play or?
Sure, let's do it.
Is that cool?
Yeah, if we're going to talk about the 2-point play, let's talk about some inconsistencies as well. But what were your thoughts on it? The Antoine Winfield play to save the game.
Clean. I thought, you know, when you get there at the same time as the ball, it's going to be hard to call that defensive pass interference. And I'm so glad that they picked the flag up because a lot of the time, like, you normally see that call and you're like, oh, that's not pass interference. And
yeah.
Daniel Jones was late on the throw, which definitely impacted it. If Antoine Winfield, if the ball doesn't touch him, it's DPI. If he doesn't make any contact with the ball, it's definitely defensive pass interference. But Daniel Jones, man, that thing was right there for the taking, and he just missed the throw. He was late on it. I don't know with that guy. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lapse in coverage. The Bucs definitely weren't ready for it the first time, which I texted you. I was like, they took the timeout. I was like, that's fine. Like, what is one timeout gonna do, right? Who cares? Like, you take the timeout. And the Giants ran the same exact formation out there, so it seemed like that was the plan all along. They weren't switching nothing up. And Antoine Winfield, great play, and that's the type of play that would get you consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So he's still in that conversation, and he's still continuing a great rookie season. What did you think of the call? Because I know that you texted me. You were like, of course they throw the flag. And I texted you, I said, I think it was sort of at the same time. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I agree with you in the sense that since he did get hit with the ball, because it wasn't even so much that it was like he deflected it. Like, it just kind of hit him in the back. You know what I mean? The late throw is going to do that. But first off, incredible awareness from Antoine Winfield, because when that play started, he was all the way on the other end of the end zone. When you look back at the replay, he is in a full sprint once he reads that Daniel Jones is looking that way. So for him to make a play on the football and a critical play like that, big heads-up play from him. But for the call himself, do you remember seeing Joe Judge once the game was over and he ripped off his mask and he was like, that's effing horse S or something? I mean, it was pretty bad, and a lot of Giants fans are pretty heated about the referees overall that night. But, you know, while we're talking about that play, a lot of people feel like it's 50-50. Let's talk about the rest of the evening. Seemed like that officiating crew was given some more than generous spots to both teams all night long.
Except for the Bucs when Leonard Fournette clearly got a first down, and then, you know, they didn't, and the Bucs couldn't run out the clock because they couldn't get the 3rd and 1. When Leonard Fournette had already gotten the first down.
The Devin White neutral zone infraction, he wasn't in the neutral zone.
Yeah, I mean, he jumped, but it was a little iffy. Yeah, like, he definitely jumped, but no,
but there were so many of those calls that you could look back and be like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe that shouldn't have been called.
Refs on primetime, man. It's the refs and with the Bucs on primetime is not a great formula because, yeah, Chicago game and...
Well, yeah, Chicago and New York are both pretty shady
how many
cities,
times,
if I say so myself.
How many times were they going to let the Giants just, like, false start or hold? Like, Shaq Barrett must have gotten held 3 different times. Like, come on.
I think one of my favorite parts about the new Buccaneers uniform is that the word Buccaneers on their chest, you can tell how many times and how rough they've been held based off of how curved it is. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where it kind of makes the arch, and you can tell someone's been holding them to death. Yeah. I agree with you. It's just another one of those games. I mean, what's important is that, yes, the Buccaneers did escape with a win, but listen, folks, if we're going to spend an extended amount of time talking about the last play of the game, or at least, you know, the last play for the Giants, we got to talk about the rest of the game because it was
how'd
not,
they get there?
It was not leaning one way or another for either team. It was just bad officiating.
With this Giants offense, it shouldn't have came down to a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair as well. Going into this game, we talked about it on the preview show. They were ranked 31st for not only, I think, total yardage, but points scored. So there really was no point for it to come down to that. But again, while we mention it, those refs were damn generous. But I want to talk about this defense. I'll tell you what. You opened it up with that final play. Let's talk about that final drive. That was probably the most infuriating series of football that I've seen from this defense all season. The extended plays, the bullshittery. Like, I don't know what it was, but it looked like the helmet catch from 2007 where Eli was just able to escape everybody, throw the ball on a whim and they come down with it. Daniel Jones had so much pressure on him on, was it the third or the fourth down?
It was, the 4th and 5 was when Sue almost got there and Jones just threw it up. Slayton caught it and then ran. Devin White missed the tackle. I thought Devin White outside the sack played horrible. But Devin White missed the tackle, and it was the 4th and 5 where Jones was hit. And then the 4th and 16, Jones just rolled out, had time.
The 4th and 16 was what was infuriating because it wasn't one 4th down conversion, it was 2. It was 2. And it was two chances right there to put the game away sooner than it needed to be.
If that's more than like a 4th and 10, you can't let that. Just let him check it down, then just tackle him. Like,
right. That's
what you do in that situation.
Those are 2 chances. Both of those 4th downs, they're 2 chances for you to put the game away and to make this box score look a little bit more appealing too. It wouldn't come down with the possibility of overtime if they get this.
Yeah, game would have been over.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was oh man, it was infuriating. But the rest of the defense, let's talk about something. One of the big highlights from Monday night. The Buccaneers used Jamel Dean in their base defense for the first time this season. Basically, they pulled the old switcheroo with Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy bunting. So SMB played in just the nickel, which I know we've said here on the show. He is much better in that position. Yep. A really good nickel corner. He showed why on Monday night for the most part.
Had a pick.
And, I think the reason that they did that, I think Bruce said it, but I think you just like the matchups a little bit better with Jamel Dean and some of those receivers for New York. But what did you think of that adjustment on defense?
It was an adjustment indeed. Or I should say Indeed. Aha.
So funny. That's why you're suspended.
Yeah, well, sorry, guys. Anyways, I thought Dean, I like the idea of putting him outside because I think that's where he belongs. But, man, he is an aggressive fellow out there.
He was jumping routes all night. He was trying his best.
He wants to do the pick 6 on Aaron Rodgers every time a receiver throws the ball his way. Because he jumps on everything. And they got him with a few double moves. And Daniel Jones just couldn't hit him. So Dean didn't have a great night. But he's been good this season. I expect him to bounce back. And you can already see during the game, I believe John Ledyard pointed this out, that they ran a double move at him later in the game, and he didn't flinch. So that's a good sign. But yeah, not Dean's strongest game at all.
Yeah, and on those double moves that you brought up, there was a point in this game where if Daniel Jones was not Daniel Jones and had overthrown his receivers, it would have been 25-9. Not 28-9 because you take away the field goal that they held them to that one drive. But there were 2 touchdowns where Jamel Dean was beat. And it was going to be a house call. It was going to be a touchdown if Daniel Jones connects. And of course we know that at 25-9 this football game finishes probably a lot different.
That ball game's over.
I hate to say it, but with the way that this team was playing, 25-9 would have been the nail in the coffin, absolutely. If they come back from bigger deficits so far this season, yes. But, again...
It's just a momentum thing.
Exactly. That's what it is. And with the way that we saw them come out on Monday night, that first 3 quarters of football was just the most uninspired that I've seen all season. You look over an opponent, that's exactly what's going to happen. But For the defense, again, we got a lot of people who were just upset about it. And we actually got a voicemail from our buddy Colin out of Denver that I forgot to play because that's just the kind of show that I'm having right now. But shout out to Colin for calling in, 813-433-0323. If you guys ever want to leave a voicemail, if you ever have any questions for us, the line is always open. We will play it on the show if I don't forget. And, of course, we'll answer your questions. So we talked about the secondary. One more thing I want to talk about before we close this thing. What did you think of that defensive line for the most part?
Very disappointing. I'm going to keep that pretty blunt because this Giants offensive line is bad, is very bad. They were missing Will Hernandez, a starter. They were starting 2 rookies, and the Bucs just could not get a pass rush with 4 guys. I think a lot of it has to do with they just don't have another pass rusher to go with Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, sign Clay Matthews maybe. But they just don't have that pass rusher. You could tell at the end of the game, the entire fourth quarter, Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett are completely gassed, and they just can't do anything. So very disappointed. I just really am. I know they had 3 sacks, but man, I don't know. I felt like this was the game where Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul were just going to meet at the quarterback, right, and get 2 or 3 combined, and then you'd get Sue involved, and you'd get Golston a little bit because he can have some rush moves. You get Nacho maybe. You send some more blitzes with Devin White and Levante David, Antoine Winfield, Jordan Whitehead, and it just didn't work. Their offensive line, that's one of the most concerning things for me from this game, is that the Giants' offensive line really handled the Bucs' front 4 well, and even when the Bucs sent pressure, it was either not getting there at all, which is extremely concerning, or getting there just entirely too late, because the Giants, I mean, credit to them, they had a great game plan, short, quick passes. When your offensive line sucks, that's what you have to do. You're not going to be running 4 verticals. Every time.
Credit to Jason Garrett as well. I mean, he had some pretty damn good play calls in that first half.
Yeah, he was clapping his hands a lot in the first half. And then the second half, not as much. But yeah, I mean, it really, credit to them. They had a good game plan and were able to really get stuff done against a good Bucs defense. And I still think this Bucs defense is good. Just an off night, and it felt like the Chicago game. It felt like they weren't getting enough rush with their front 4. The only difference was they got the turnovers when they needed it. Carlton Davis right out of the gate, right halftime, gets the pick. Shaq Barrett, great job. I need sacks from him, though. I need sacks from Shaq Barrett. I want Sack Barrett back. Yeah. Right now, you got Shaquille Barrett. Right. You got Shaquille Barrett, solid pass rusher. I want Sack Barrett, elite pass rusher back. And he's not going to get paid like an elite pass rusher if he keeps not getting sacks. I know he's like second in the NFL in pressures, but man, pressures don't get you, $18-20 million a year. It just doesn't. Yeah. And then Sean Murphy-Bunting with the pick, another Shaq Barrett, great job, but I need a sack. Sean Murphy-Bunting with the pick. The Giants were past midfield at that point, so that's a big play there. So a lot of it was Daniel Jones's mistakes, but I also think they did enough. And on that last touchdown throw, it's a very good throw. It's a very good catch. Sean Murphy-Bunting could have played it a little bit better, but I don't have too many complaints about that. I just look at that's just a good play. That's how I looked at it more. I think the game should have been over. Not only did they have the 4th and 5 where they converted, but in the 4th and 16, but Levante David also dropped an interception that was right in his hands. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
He's had a couple of those this year.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
It's rough because I know I had seen it brought up. I think you brought it up earlier, but for a guy like Levante David, those dropped interceptions. Defensive Player of the Year.
Gotta catch them.
You gotta get them.
That's prime time. Everybody's watching you seal the deal.
With the season that he is having so far, those 2 interceptions that I know of for a fact that he has dropped this year, if he has those, he is your front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. But since it is such a stats-based award, those go such a long way. Again, Levante having a solid season, and I'm not discrediting him as a player, but those picks, they hurt, man. They hurt. You got to have them.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I didn't think Devin White was that good. They're going to have to play better against New Orleans. And the scary part is New Orleans' offense is very similar to the
Yeah.
Giants. A lot of quick stuff, not a lot of downfield stuff. They're going to hit Kamara on the screens more. That's basically the biggest difference is that they'll use the running backs in the passing game more than the Giants will. So, yeah, Bucs defense is going to have to play better.
Absolutely. So, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of glad that we're done talking about this one. We're going to put it behind us.
Yeah.
Bucs win.
A win's a win, but let's not talk about this one too much more.
Win's a win. 6-2 on the season, and as of right now, first place in the NFC South. Last words before we close this thing out. I want to say this. Yes, it felt like an off night for everybody. Not only us staying up late on a work night to watch that garbage, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I was so glad that didn't go to overtime.
I'm just glad that they won, because if they had lost and I stayed up till midnight to watch it, working 5:30 a.m. the next day, I was going to be pissed all day long. But this team will be ready for New Orleans. I don't think you're going to see them overlook an opponent like New Orleans like they did to New York. As Evan mentioned earlier, they looked past this game a little bit, and I think it was fairly obvious because they got caught slacking in the first half. They are prepared for New Orleans. And after watching New Orleans play this last weekend, I hate to say that I'm not entirely worried about them anymore.
Oh, don't.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not at all what I'm saying. But if this team shows up ready to play, then I think this could go in our favor for sure.
Thank God I'm suspended.
Right? All right, so since you are suspended and we won't be able to hear from you Thursday, what are your last thoughts on this Sunday's matchup against the Saints?
I mean, it's huge. This is a big game. Like I said, when I'm saying that this is a big game and if that's 10 years for this football team, I mean it. I truly believe that this game, barring a late season collapse by either team, right? I mean, the Bucs could win this game, and I said, oh, they're going to win the South, and they lose 3 straight, and that's that. The Saints could win this game, and I said, oh, they're going to win the South, and there's 3 straight, that's that. Barring a late collapse, I believe whoever wins this football game is going to win the NFC South. If the Bucs lose this football game, I think it'll be almost impossible for them to win the NFC South just because New Orleans has 2 wins over them. New Orleans literally has 2 wins over you. And your schedule, you're playing the Rams and the Chiefs coming up. Those are 2 tough games. And if you look at the New Orleans schedule, they play Kansas City. They play Kansas City and Tampa Bay. The rest of the schedule is very winnable to them. They could literally Tampa Bay and Kansas City, I think, are their last threats to lose. I really think that. So this game is just so critical for the Bucs to come out and play well. And this is the one that, this is why you brought Tom Brady here. You brought Tom Brady here to win this game on Sunday Night Football in front of the home crowd. I'm going to be in attendance. In front of the home crowd. And, it'll be important to get a win. And if they do, I think they are firmly in the driver's seat for the NFC South. Yes.
I don't think those words have ever been spoken here on the show, but I'll tell you what,
I'm
damn excited for Sunday Night Football. Evan, I know you're pumped. You're going to see Tom Brady in the flesh in the red and pewter for the first time.
My hero.
You got to be excited. It'll
be really cool for me to finally see the guy that if you know me and you can just go back and listen to the episode where he first joined the Bucs, and if you know me, you know that Tom Brady for as long as I've been watching football has been my favorite football player ever, and it'll be really, really neat to finally see him in person. Hopefully it'll come out with a win. I'm going to enjoy it either way because I'm seeing my favorite guy in person, but hopefully it'll be 10 times much better. 10 times better if it's a W.
There we go. Looking forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I will talk to you Thursday. Evan will talk to you next Monday. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you for listening on any of our podcast outlets or checking us out with video over on YouTube. And if you haven't already, Make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We just recently hit 1,500 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for all the support and everybody continually tuning into our show. We really do appreciate you. Check out the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Basically the best place to go for any updates on the show, and of course, Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can check out my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_daily. You can find you can find him on Twitter as well at EvanNFL. I didn't mention it because he's not going to follow you back. I hate to be that guy.
Sorry.
Nah, don't be.
Hey, shout out to let me get the @ here.
There you go. Don't even remember it, but we're gonna
shout out to at the Rays Zone, David from at the Rays Zone, because he is hyped to hear what I had to say on this one. That is not my burner account, ladies and gentlemen. But David, I appreciate you, and you are a smart cookie.
Yeah, Evan definitely had some great things to say on this show, unlike myself. I don't know, I felt off on this one for some reason.
Just don't talk to me during a game, because that's how I get suspended. So.
Right, apparently. So for your saving grace, I'm not going to text you at all next Sunday. I hope you have a great time, though.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm at the game, so I won't answer you anyway. So, but if they win, you might get like a phone call of me just like going nuts. So.
As long as you send me some pictures of like those uniforms in person, that's all I need.
I got you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find myself on social media, Instagram and Twitter. All of those are at Retticus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I promise I will follow you back. And that's the end of the show, I think.
That's it. That's all, folks.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you Thursday. We're going to have our man James Money Hill, a.k.a. Mr. Bucs Nation, filling in. Do a little game preview for you. And be on the lookout for a Bucs break dropping as well this week. Go Bucs, 6-2, first place in the NFC South. Next Sunday awaits. Thanks for listening to our show. We'll talk to you next time. Go Bucs.